He's a former Portland Trailblazer, a financial advisor, and a sometimes basketball and lacrosse coach to my kids in Lake Oswego. He's Chris Dudley, and he's running for governor. Can he win the Republican nomination with a lot of financial backing but no political experience? Matt, what does it take to be governor? What do you think?
Well, the two main candidates on the Republican side are Alan Alley and Chris Dudley, and they have something in common. They're continuing to test out this theory about whether or not wealthy people who raise a bunch of money but have no actual elected experience in Oregon can be elected to statewide office. Now, I've met them both, and they're nice guys, but I don't see any history among the voters of Oregon in their willingness to do this. And we've run candidates that basically meet that description many, many times. And I don't see a willingness by the voters of Oregon to elect people to statewide office who've had no elected experience anywhere within the state. Now, again, they're both nice men. I'm a Republican, they're Republican. I would love for a Republican governor to be elected, and I hope that they break that trend and that one of them is able to get elected. It's just that, you know, things are what they are, and I think they have an uphill battle in doing that.
Would you put Mike Erickson in that category too?
I think it's another example. I think it is very tough for folks who come out of the business world and are used to being CEOs, and they think that probably the equivalent office for them on the political side would be, say, governor. I know it's a natural attraction for them, but as I said, I think the voters look at this differently, and they have a tendency to want to see people run for other offices, mayor, state representative, or something.
They want to see them start
a little lower. And they want to see them gain experience and to see them kind of function without, you know, being radical or weird in some way. They just want to test them out before they elevate them to statewide offices.
Yeah, because I think Oregonians, by and large, are pretty moderate in terms of whether they're Republican or Democrat. They want experience. They want to be able to see somebody's track record and be able to think that, like Matt said, they're not going to be one way or the other wacko that's going to be Jesse Ventura. They don't want that in the state house. So, you know, I'm trying to think back in time. The only guy I remember that came out of left field was Bud Clark when he ran for the mayor of Portland, defeating the incumbents Frank Ivensey, who really had a political agenda and actually had experience. But in general, I will agree with Matt. I think Oregonians want somebody that they can look at to say, oh, they did this and this and this, and they have a track record.
Yeah. Schwarzenegger did it.
Yeah, he may not be an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You got to be a little more famous, maybe.
But voters are different in different states. I mean, California, New York, it is possible.
It's a little more attractive than Ronald Reagan and the Schwarzenegger.
Well, yeah, but
I just don't think Oregon voters have shown a propensity to do that.
Well, in terms of the primary, though, interestingly, Alan Alley's put out a press release saying that he has a poll that shows on a name recognition basis only 18% of Oregonians recognize or know anything about Chris Dudley. 18% surprises me, because I wouldn't have expected a huge number, but I would have thought it was higher than 18. And in a head-to-head poll where they propose Alan Alley against Chris Dudley, Alan Alley says, his poll says that he gets 46% of Republicans, Dudley gets 20%, and 34% are undecided. So at least among Republicans in the state, according to Alan Alley's poll, he's got a good lead.
He should have stayed in the Blazer organization a little longer, so he was always on the court, and people go, oh, that Chris Dudley, another three-point shot.
To steal
he
a
never
line
had
from
a three-point shot.
I know.
Steal a line from
that brought up.
Jack Omen's line was, will he rule from the center? And I think, I don't know, but I hope he blocks bad legislation.
Hey, well, you know, back to that, I mean, he wasn't a very good shooter, but he was smart enough to know where he was best at, and that was on the other end, you know, the defensive end. And, you know, I mean, I think the bottom line is this administration has brought out a whole new group of people that were just sitting around, the silent majority that showed up to the ballots, they voted, but now it's maybe he might have a shot, because, you know, there's people out there saying, you know, these guys aren't getting it, so maybe somebody new and fresh is going to get it.
Oh, now he might have a shot. Well,
I think he might. Actually,
he didn't have a shot before.
The other problem is the general.
No, not a
You're
shot
going to have
like
two, you know, on the Democratic side, you'll have named individuals who have experience up there, and so that will make the general quite interesting if you're going to have a general with a well-known candidate for one side and a lesser-known candidate on the other side.
You didn't ask the question about the other side, but I actually think the other side's going to field, I think the idea of putting people who have past governors or with wide name ID, I think that's actually not going to be very attractive this election season for people. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to be putting their best candidates forward.